Happening fan base, and welcome to another episode of Honest Descriptions. Today, honestly describing every member of the 7 Deadly Sins. Spoiler, there are 7 of them. Fun fact, 7 Deadly Sins Season 2 is finally on Netflix, and therefore, for me at least, there was a slight resurgence of hype, and also the recent manga's been freaking amazing. I will definitely need to eventually do some analyses on that, especially on Ban and Meliodas. God damn, I love those bastards. Never fear, there will be no manga spoilers. The word honesty definitely has quotation marks. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes, honestly describing the 7 of these deadly bastards. So without further ado, Meliodas, the dragon sin of wrath. You see, he's the sin of wrath because he's the only sin that 98% of the time is completely calm and complacent, fits the category perfectly, I'd say, and is the perfect shonen protagonist. Most of the time, they want the protagonists to come off as really good-hearted, kind-souled people. People that anyone could get along with, that everyone could look up to. And Meliodas is the same. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I personally look up to Meliodas going for the fondle, if you know what I mean, where she doesn't really mind for whatever reason, probably because of Meliodas' sheer manliness. But I respect that 100 times more than I respect the protagonist that's surrounded by girls that are amongst themselves having sluttiness competitions, slowly removing more and more clothes, giving the main character boob massages, and the main character just doesn't realize that they like him. That's supposed to be a hero? Freaking dumbass. Meliodas is a hero. He'll save her ass, and he'll grab her ass. What a guy. But it's not just in physical might that he has everyone beat. Meliodas is always playing the mental game, outsmarting every opponent. He knows his wanted poster for whatever reason looks exactly like Estarossa, and that's probably because Meliodas is the master of disguise. He enters the tournament knowing that people would realize that if he called himself Meliodas, he would be a Meliodas. So he changed his name to Meliodafu, a completely different name that literally no one picked up on, except for the senile old guy. But anyway, Meliodas is a master of disguise for an entirely different reason. Every single opponent he fights does not recognize him, and then says like, wait a second, you're actually Meliodas? You look exactly like you did 10 years ago. Meaning, this guy that looked exactly like Meliodas did 10 years ago totally didn't register as Meliodas, the guy that everyone in the kingdom is looking for. That makes sense. But what everyone seems to miss is that Meliodas is 100% innocent. In fact, when Elizabeth asked him, are you the one that actually killed the chief holy knight dude? Who legit sucks, by the way. Meliodas says, yeah, no, you know, I don't remember. It could be. Meanwhile, he has a flashback remembering walking into the room where the holy knight guy's already dead. Well, yes, it is true you don't remember killing him, but that's because it's not very easy to remember things you didn't do. But to be fair, if you walked in and he's already dead, chances are he was dead before you walked in. I mean, again, this is logical reasoning. To be fair, he does not remember not killing him, but he's a genius in other ways. His memory may not be the greatest, but at the same time, he had a secret code with Gowther that he made with him when he was like a little kid that Gowther luckily remembered. And when Meliodas made the secret symbol motion thingy that he told him years before, Gowther remembered and was secretly his ally all along. No, Gowther decided it would not be a good idea to be like, oh, okay, good symbol, I guess we're friends. And then Meliodas would be like, yeah, we're totally friends, while they were fighting in the forest of wet dreams. And then they could, you know, chat things out, things could go well between them. It's not like there were any onlookers. Instead, he had to get hurled into his fortress, destroying it, where Meliodas ended up dying from that encounter, sort of. Nope, much better idea to not say anything. Wink, wink. He's actually secretly a good guy that you'll see way later. Not that he was ever really any help in the entire anime. Because, of course, if Meliodas actually did go rogue, kill the king, and become a bad guy, he would never use the secret code. This was a foolproof logical plan on Meliodas' part. 7 Deadly Sins is truly the thinking man's anime. But if you're not all into thinking and stuff, which I would understand if you made it this far into the video. Wait, did I just roast myself? What? Editor, do me a favor and cut this out. Honest descriptions aren't supposed to roast myself. Let's make myself look edgy and cool. Thank you, editor. There are quite the bombastic fights in 7 Deadly Sins as well. Like, for example, my personal favorite fight in the series was episode 1, Meliodas versus Lord Twigo-sama, where Lord Twigo pretended to lose just so he could lurk in the shadows, manipulating the entire story. Again, this was a psychological battle, so at the same time, it does not exactly count as far as epic fights and feats of Meliodas, because the entire anime was just hyping up Meliodas' next opponent so Meliodas can completely overpower them. Oh, the This is Gowther. He's one of the great, awesome holy knights. He throws a javelin at Meliodas. Meliodas freaking catches it and throws it back. Granted, couldn't destroy Gowther's mighty chair of awesomeness, but not much could. But he definitely won that encounter. Broke out of Gowther's lightning thingo, no problem either. Next, he's fighting against this massive guy with the gold mask thing, where the guy decided, after hypnotizing one of the 7 deadly sins, to come out of hiding and say, "Ha-ha, I hypnotized you! So Meliodas can fight him one-on-one." And he's like, "Yes, but my body is incredibly powerful. No one can ever touch it. No holy knight has a chance." And he gets one punched by Meliodas. Then Meliodas is trapped in an impregnable barrier. Impregnable. Let that word sink into your head. And Meliodas breaks it by accident. I mean, the story goes on here, and every opponent he fights is on a whole new level, and Meliodas just tears them to shreds. Granted, they introduced the Dragon Ball Scouter in the beginning of Season 2 because they realized there's absolutely no consistency to the power scaling of this anime, so from now on, it will go by the number. Which is great, because Meliodas is like 3,000. Uh-oh, he's up against 5,000 power level Golem thingy. Don't worry, he can get this sacred treasure that makes him even stronger. Uh-oh, Galand has a power level of 30,000, 10 times Meliodas. Don't worry, we'll unlock 10 times of Meliodas' power. That won't be a problem. And since I said no manga spoilers, this Meliodas power scaling discussion will not go further. And this is like, as kind of a fun fact, sate. That was really bad. I don't usually do this with my honest descriptions, but despite the many narrative inconsistencies and power scaling fallacies of the anime, the character writing in 7 Deadly Sins is some of the best in all of anime. I deeply adore so many of these characters, and I remember it whenever they're on screen, whenever I work on my analysis videos, and this is basically one of the first honest descriptions I've ever made that it hurts me to try to come up with issues in the characterization of these 7 little bastards. 7 Deadly Sins really is an underrated gem as far as the international shonen community goes. So let's just jump into sin number 2. Diane, the sin of envy. Obviously, envy is the perfect sin for Diane because, as we know, she's the only sin who's in love with someone that actually loves her back. That's right, she's the only one in a relationship that actually works out. Unlike Meliodas, who's envious of a normal life with Elizabeth, Ban, who's envious of, his crush being alive, Gowther, who's envious of, having human emotions, and Escanor, who's envious of Merlin, but Merlin doesn't love him back. Which is utterly preposterous. I mean, I'm straight and I'm in love with him. Diane, well, she and King are happy. She's the sin of envy. Oh, but in the beginning, she was envious of Meliodas. Well, in the beginning, King was envious of her. I love how things were thought through here. Speaking of thought, Diane's a female shonen character chasing after her dude. Kind of like another female shonen character chasing after her dude, namely Sakura. These two have absolutely nothing in common. It's not like both of them have technically improved over the course of the series, yet still never managed to do anything of use. No, it's not like King saves Diane in literally every single fight she's ever fought, like against Guila or against Hellbram or recent manga stuff. Like a lot of recent manga stuff. She's just hiding her true power, waiting for the right moment to strike. It's all part of a master strategy, lulling every enemy into a false sense of security, when really she's a female shonen character, and that should have been enough to tip them off. Typical shonen woman, not all that helpful and contradicts herself constantly. I mean, she bitches half the first season that she wishes she was smaller. She finds a mushroom that can make her smaller, but she doesn't keep the mushroom. She claims she's scared of bugs when she's fighting bug people. Oh, but she was sleeping in a creepy, infested forest for 10 years. Claims she loves Meliodas. She doesn't even recognize him when he comes to visit her. Oh, it's because 10 years passed and Meliodas should look different after 10 years, even though Diane's a giant that can live like borderline forever. Don't give me that 10-year bullcrap. Next, we got Ban, best girl, and the sin of greed. Of course, picking him to be the sin of greed was perfect because, as we know, he's like the most selfless character in like the whole series. He and Elaine is about to die. He gives Elaine the Fountain of Youth, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure it's made of Hashirama cells, and she spits it in his mouth. But let's not forget, in the end of the day, he sacrificed himself for her. Also, when Elaine is back, revived by Demon Bimbo. He still goes to kill Demon Bimbo, even though he knows killing her will dispel her spell, and Elaine will die again. But he selflessly does it, because it's the thing he has to do. Ban, the most selfless character in the 7 Deadly Sins and the sin of greed. Clearly, this was really well thought through. But I freaking love Ban. He's an immortal guy. He hangs out with giants, fairies, demons. But he sees a talking pig and it blows his freaking mind. He has the most original cosplayable outfit of all time. And he stole it from an NPC. Teaches you stupid background characters not to wear anything cool. But it gets even better. Because when he loses his clothes, he finds another NPC with the same damn clothes to steal him from again. And it's perfect that it has, like, room for his chest and his stomach, because every time he gets chopped in half and stabbed through and through, somehow it does not hurt the clothes. So when he heals, because, as we know, he has Hashirama's cells, the clothes are still intact. Freaking unbelievable. However, despite Ban having Hashirama's cells, and Ban being immortal and regenerating all the time, he has that interesting scar on his neck, somehow given to him by the captain when the captain was enraged. And that's never spoken about again, and of course, nothing else ever leaves permanent damage to Ban. That was a one-time thingo that was completely irrelevant. And a plot hole. And if you want to talk about Ban's powers, well, there's manga stuff, which is probably one of my favorite arcs in all of Seven Deadly Sins, which just came to a close. And he also has the incredible ability to steal the heart from within someone else. Basically an auto KO, right? Well, he manages to steal one of the hearts of every demon he fights. That's how cool he is. Fighting a red demon, steals one of its hearts. It destroys everything. Fighting Gowther's girlfriend thing, steals one of its hearts. Oh, but it has two. Destroys everything. Fighting Galand and Melascula, steals one of Melascula's hearts. They destroy everything. But above all else, Ban doesn't just steal demons' hearts. Ban is a role model to all of us how to steal the hearts of women. Elaine is guarding Hashirama cells on top of the Tree of Life. Hashirama cells, Tree of Life? Coincidence? I think not. So what does Ban do? He tries to steal it 1,000,000 times where she keeps blowing him away and somehow he doesn't die. But he'll keep trying. Keep pushing, thrust forward again and again and again, no matter how much she screams, stop, stop, until she starts liking it. Why do I feel like I'm describing a hentai here? And then eventually she'll love him, sacrifice herself for him, and give him the thing that he was trying to steal all along. And I know you're gonna say, but Nux, look how greedy he is. He was trying to steal the thing out forever. And then he realized that it would hurt the forest if he stole it, and he said, no, I don't actually want to steal it. His mind was red and he wasn't lying. That's the most selfless freaking thing of all time. He could get immortality, but he didn't to save some trees. Ban sucks in his greed. Then you have Jericho. He humiliates her by having her give him a perfect beard cut like a superhero pimp. He then beats her in a fight a couple of times and she loves him and follows him around everywhere. Ban, you are amazing. Thank you for existing. And thank you for being best friends with Meliodas, because you and Meliodas have the best friendship of all time in all of anime ever. And to put it bluntly, whenever Ban and Meliodas are on the screen at the same time, one of my hands is very busy. Hashtag no homo, of course. And you know what else happens when Ban and Meliodas are on screen together sometimes? They fight each other. First of all, they have the best secret handshake of all time that I now do with all of my friends. Yeah, admittedly, it gets awkward sometimes, but it's worth it. And whenever he's fighting the captain in some form of tournament thing, he's like, oh, I have my ultimate power that can steal the strength of my opponents that he only uses on the captain. All the opponents he fights in the whole series never uses his stealing strength thingy unless it doesn't affect them for one reason or another, or it's Meliodas. Yeah, the point that I'm trying to allude to here is the fact that even though he has this crazy great power, let alone that heart-stealing thing that he only does once per person, it still never ever accomplishes anything. Crazy great power, never accomplished anything. This sounds like a best girl. Get it? Because female shonen characters never actually... Okay, anyway, I'm gonna move on. Next sin, King, the grisly sin of sloth. Before nitpicking exactly why he's slothful, let's figure out what his character purpose was in the narrative. The whole show, he was in love with Diane and tried to impress her by literally doing everything he could, pushing himself to the brink of death half a dozen times, and he's the sin of sloth. I mean, if you look at the 10-year time span where the sins were divided, we had Meliodas chilling in a bar, Escanor chilling in a bar, Ban just, you know, had himself tortured for 10 years because he's a world-class masochist. Diane slept for 10 years. What did King do? Well, he completely figured out what happened to the magical forest and tracked down the one that he assumed killed his sister. Yeah, he's the sin of sloth. I'll buy it, and I know people don't really give King a lot of credit for this, but it's my belief that King is a strategic mastermind. His tactical prowess is that of legend. Every single time a really massive monster shows up, he decides the first move to do is, oh, let's throw 1,000,000 kunai knives at him. That'll work. Spoilers, it never works. Not against Gowther's girlfriend in the woods. Not against those big walking mountain things. Little kunai don't do schnizzle on those. You know what works on literally everything though? Well, that would be the big sunflower laser cannon that he almost never uses. And I know I made fun of the kunai attack that he uses on everyone that never really does anything, and the massive sunflower laser cannon attack that he uses on almost no one but literally would do everything, but this is all just in power scaling. King has support techniques that are of legendary might. For example, Oslo, his dog that allows him to teleport anyone anywhere ever, and he never uses at all to travel because, hey, let's go on a giant pig. That's discreet and won't raise any attention when we attack the capital. Oh, but don't worry, he'll use it once for transportation. Yes, granted, it'll be to Diane, who can't really fit because she is thick. Now, call me insane, but it's my belief that that was King's planning all along. He had her thickness in mind when he devised his stratagem, and it was a complete success. But the thing is, at least King understands a thing or two about aesthetic. His legendary weapon is far cooler than literally everyone else's. Diane has a big hammer. Meliodas has a really cool sword that can make him use the shadow clone jutsu. Ban has these really cool, really impractical nunchucks. Escanor has a puny little axe. But King, yes, King has a pillow. Truly awe-inspiring. And talking about awe-inspiring, King has an awe-inspiring form that just makes him look so much damn hotter. Chubby fat-lipped form gave him the name Pimp Slayer for a reason, and the jester outfit is to lull you in a false sense of security. Now, some may think he does this for, shits and giggles, but no. He kept up this form for the entirety of the time that the Sins were working together, to the point when they saw his real form, they did not recognize the bastard. But then when he saw Elizabeth, he was like, oh, he has to take his, prestigious form. And he can't even hold fat form for 15 seconds. Wow, his stamina increased over the last 10 years of brutal training. I admit, I was a little surprised throughout this entire anime. They didn't follow the one shonen rule of power-ups that everyone has to know. Dragon Ball grows hair for power. One Punch Man loses hair for power. My Hero Academia eats hair for power. Seven Deadly Sins had nothing. Well, so it seemed. I'm not gonna manga spoil you, but the power pompadour of the king himself is quite traumatizing for his opponents. But if I were to nitpick on a single point of King's character in regard to his attack patterns, which I haven't been doing so far. So far, everything I've been saying is totally positive, mind you. I'd say that nothing really stands out as original. Big laser beams, lots of kunais, floating weapon, etc., etc. The only really original attack he has that clearly was not taken from anything and is totally original intellectual property to the Seven Deadly Sins is bonding his dead friend's soul to a piece of armor so he could live on and talk to him. I've never seen anything like that anywhere else, ever. Next, we have the sin of lust, Gowther. So the sin lust is the perfect sin to give to this character. No other character in the entire Seven Deadly Sins actually exhibits lust. Like Meliodas, Ban, King, Diane, and Escanor aren't each lusting over a certain other character. No, that doesn't happen. Gowther's lust because he's literally the only character with no emotions and therefore feeling no lust. Makes sense that he's the sin of lust. You're all just plebeians if you think having no emotions can stop the power of love. Pretty sure that's the lesson to be learned here, by the way. He's an emotionless, genderless character built as a dude with no sexual preferences, and he still cross-dresses. That's how badass of a character Gowther is. He even managed to get himself a girlfriend. Granted, she's a French girlfriend, so he probably says, I challenge you to a relationship, and she says, I surrender. But he's also so strangely empathetic to others' feelings. He can't remember his past, so he decides the only thing that'll truly help him is to have Diane forget about her past, screw up half the season. Yeah, Gowther's great like that. Then the fact that Gowther has the strongest freaking attack of all all time, erasing and controlling memories, saved all the 7 deadly sins when they were fighting Galand. But of course, since it was used then, it could never be used again in any other fight ever. Beginner's Uraka. But the thing is, as far as Gowther goes, I'd love to make fun of him. I'd love to talk about him more, but at the same time, oh, it's all manga spoilers. He is an incredibly important plot point in the story, with a hell of a lot of backstory built into this sacred duty that he should be doing. So that's all great, and he kind of does it recently in the manga. And if you ask yourself what the point of all of it was, because if you didn't ask yourself that, then ask yourself now. And if you didn't read the manga, read the manga. But at this point, I think it's kind of unfair to continue. Merlin, the sin of gluttony. The absolute perfect sin to choose from Merlin, because she's the only character in the entire 7 deadly sins that's not linked with food. Never worked in a bar, we never see her eat, and she really isn't all that power hungry. I mean, you know she's strong, because she's a lolly in her true form, and as we know, 3,000-year-old lollies are basically the undisputed top of the food chain in any anime. Completely lootable, and of infinite power. And don't take the words infinite power too lightly, no. Merlin has the power of infinity, so she has no power level, and she is basically infinite mana, or whatever the hell it's called in the 7 deadly sins. They didn't really nail down a power system in there at all. That said, this infinity thing is a power that she's using in a current fight in the manga that's actually happening right now. It's her, Escanor, and someone else against 3 demon fellows. And, well, Merlin's freaking amazingly powerful. Almost as powerful as she was when she fought Galand, and didn't stand a chance against him. Yeah, Galand, the guy with 36,000 power level, and she's easily fighting against demons with power levels of over 170,000. But no, absolutely no chance against Galand. It's not like she got any stronger in between either. It's just at that point, we didn't know she was a lolly. But now, since her lolly form has been revealed, oh, she will not be taken down so easily. And for the entire first 2 seasons of the 7 deadly sins, we see her caring a lot about Arthur, who strangely enough is not yet so powerful. Something must come from him eventually, and only us manga weeaboo freaks actually know what. Oh, it was awesome and totally game-changing. Yes, totally worth the build-up. And since most of the Merlin reveals are manga spoilers and not really anime, I'll have to leave you off to final thoughts. Thoughts spelled T-H-O-U-G-H-T, not T-H-O... You know what I mean. The first being, in the world of 7 deadly sins, I can't say Merlin's beard. It's something I've been meaning to try to say forever now, but I can't say Merlin's beard. Lollies with beards, just, you know, total boner killers. I can't even say by the voluptuous tits of Arthur, because this isn't the Fate series. Totally killing all my exclamation lines. Freaking bastards. And secondly, if there's any magic in the world of 7 deadly sins, it's keeping her vest thing stuck to her bazungas. Truly fascinating world building. And last but not least, the mightiest disciple of Lord Twigo himself. Moustache techniques passed down the Armstrong lines for generations. And a total badass that has the most satisfying fights of all time. The only one who decides that is me, the lion sin of pride, Lord Escanor. He's so badass, he's the only member of the 7 deadly sins that fits his sin. Well, fits his sin half the time, that is. But it's the more important half of the time. It's the half of the time that we want to see him. And you know how every honest description I reserve the right to leave one description that could be honest without quotation marks? Well, I would select Lord Escanor. I mean, I guess I could make fun that he's only satisfying to watch when he's completely demolishing his opponents, but his opponents are getting stronger than he is, so there will become a point where he just won't be as satisfying to watch. And I'm afraid that time has already arrived in the manga. Not necessarily at the time recording this video, but the possibility is there. That said, the reason why I will be doing this as an honest description without quotation marks is because I wanted to talk about one of my 3 favorite videos I've ever made, my Escanor analysis, the tragic philosophy of the overpowered king. I really love that video, and I'm really happy with how it came out, so link to it is in the description, and it's at the end of the video. I would really appreciate it if you took the time to check it out. It will give you a completely different appreciation of Escanor. And with that said, that is the conclusion of the honest description on every sin from the 7 deadly sins. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked, please leave a like, and if you want more, feel free to subscribe. I do other 7 deadly sins content, other anime content, be it analysis or satire. I appreciate that you spent the time to watch this video, whether you got triggered or not, but seriously, high praise to the 7 deadly sins. It gets a lot of crap for being another one of those adventure shonens with a weak plot, inconsistent power scaling, etc, etc. But the phenomenal character arcs, as just one of many things, really make the 7 deadly sins a great series in my book, and I really, really love this anime. I'm sad no one discusses it. Well, link to my Twitter in the description. Feel free to follow me there for random shit posting abilities. And I also review all the new chapters of manga that comes out for all the long stuff I'm following. Spoiler free, of course. If you appreciate Lord Escanor as the #1 hero, feel free to pick up some of my Ouro Breito merch. It's back, fam. And link in the description to my Patreon. All patrons are invited to the Discord server, no matter how much you pledge, and I especially wanted to thank King Beat My Meat, Sage of Snake, Pop-Up, Grumpy Welshman, Lazy Ronin, Girthy Worm, Jin, Allison Stricker, JD Fincher, E-Laser, Sash, Ethan, Price, Frisky Dingo, Soy Boy Theories, MD, Q, Praise Lord de Girugameshu, Billy Thompson, Abigail Norton, Salve Says, Gremmin, Sergeant Malarkey, Alan Weebus, Divine Reigns, Miku, and TM Philly. But I also wanted to thank the Lord Twigo Rank, Anthony Booth, Cream My Pancake, Emir Zekic, Rari, Necro Zindergarden, Portland Ewing, Zombie Misha, and Taya Kui. And of course, the God Usopp rank, Tyler Schumacher, Dark Element, Sonny Parks, and Maurice Louis Dreyfus. I honestly appreciate all of your support. At the time of recording this video, I just had 8 videos demonetized in a row. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, where I bitch about it occasionally. But hopefully by the time this is uploaded, that streak has been broken. I really appreciate you guys. Everyone that liked, everyone that subscribed, everyone that pledged, and everyone that watched this video until this point. Thank you. Have yourselves the most wonderful evening, and remember to stay weird, fam.